Hello, this is Sunlight Radio Online. My name is Kwesi Opong, and thank you for joining us. We had a little bit of a technical issue there, but it's been resolved. So thank you for joining us. Today we are talking about complacency in marriage and in relationships. And the question I put out earlier was, are you wearing a bib or are you wearing an apron? And depending on where you are in your relationship and what you're wearing, it determines how well you're being proactive or how hard you're working to ensure that your relationship is not stuck in the rut of complacency, So we're going to continue with, going through some of the things we can do to help us to really develop and grow and not be stuck in that place in our relationship where we take everything for granted and we all our excitement and our joy are all gone. So the last thing we talked about was you trying, you are changing up your routine, trying something different. The next thing we like to talk about is romance. When it comes to romance, has romance dried up in your relationship? Are you trying different things to bring up romance in your relationship? That will break that chain of complacency, because if you take things for granted, you will not do anything interesting, anything fun, anything romantic, anything that brings joy and laughter into your relationship. But it's important that when you start taking these steps to think of romantic things you can do, things that can, spice up your relationship and bring some laughter and joy, it's definitely going to start changing things around in your marriage. So try something different and be adventurous, do fun things, but don't be risky. That's what I'll say. Passion fades with time, but there are things that we can do. I often say that there's a reason why companies do very well. Look at me going from talking about romance to talking about companies, but there are principles here that if we apply, we're going to see the same results that big organizations see, because they look at things and realize this aspect of our business is going down. What can we do? And they take steps to make sure that things get back on track. Their profits are going up. Sales are moving in the right directions. So we have to learn to do the same. That questions we have to ask ourselves is, how's the romance level in my relationship? Why has it changed? What am I not doing that I used to do? Or what new things can I start doing? And if we answer these questions, it will start putting us on the path and track to ensuring that we are preventing complacency in our relationships. Another thing we can do is also to boost our energy levels. Most too often when people become complacent, they're just out of energy. At the end of their day, they don't feel like doing anything. They don't feel like going anywhere. But then, what do you do to boost your own energy? If you both have packed schedule and you don't be surprised that it affects your relationship. And being able to maybe go for a walk or make sure that you are eating well and you are practicing good mental health activities. It's these little things help boost your energy. And also all the things we've talked about to this point. Like when we talk about when you are able to celebrate your partner or make individual time for yourself. All those things has the ability to boost your energy as well. So make sure you ask yourself, where are my energy levels? One thing that we have to become aware of when we're in a relationship is that it's no longer about just you. When you were single, it was about you. You could do things when you want, how you wanted. But now you're sharing your life with somebody. It's selflessness. This is not about, can't I do what I want? But it's about sacrifice. It's about, you deciding that it's no longer about just you. But you have another person in your life who you're sharing life with. And whatever happens to you or whatever you do impacts how you relate with your spouse. So taking up that responsibility to make sure that you are doing things that will increase your energy levels so that you have energy to pour back into your relationship. It's very important. If we keep draining all our energy on things other than our relationship, there won't be a relationship to come home to. So where are you spending your energy, your time, your joys? Where are you investing your time and your energy? Let's make this a priority in making sure that we have energy left to invest in our relationship. So, the next one, make a point of talking to each other. This sounds very funny. I know we talked about communication as the first point, but making a point to talk is very, very important. There's research that has shown that in a typical day, couples probably spend less than 30 minutes in real talk. When I say real talk, passionate talking, listening, active listening, and really communicating to understand where your spouse is. It falls off the chart. And being proactive and being in the moment and say, I'm going to take some time off, I'm going to clear my table, just sit down, we've had dinner, I just want to turn on the TV and talk to my spouse for a couple of minutes and really find out what is going on and where we are and some of the things that mean something to us that we can really talk about. It's very important that we have meaning conversations and we have meaning discussions that can really pull us out of the rut of complacency. So let's put the effort into it. Let's make this a priority. Let's see it as something that will help us bring us to the next level in our relationship. It's very, very important. As we talk about this, one of the things I want you to see is that it all comes down to the effort you put into it. What you put into it is what you get out of it. So they often say that, the other person, their marriage is great, they're having a great time. It's because they're working on it. We all say the grass is always green on the other side. Yes, it's because maybe they're putting water on their grass so it looks green. So what are you doing to make sure that you're not stuck in this rut of complacency and loveless marriage, a boring marriage, where loneliness and all these things are setting in your relationship? We have the tools, we have the resources. What is left is your ability to apply them, to rise up and say, I'm going to do the things I need to do to get me out of this rut. And as we take these steps, we'll see the results. We're going to start seeing things change. And it's going to point in the right direction where we're more connected, we are more we're relating better with our spouse, and complacency has no place in our relationship. The next one is a very important one, and I can't say this enough. And the point is to complacency, and I think this is one thing that has increased the level of complacency in relationships, and it's putting your phones away. We live in an age where we all have devices that, most of us work with our phones. It helps us to get in touch. It helps us to be able to plan our lives and make us more productive. But we have to know when to put that phone away when we are with our spouse, And this is because we are with our spouse, but we're checking to see what somebody else is saying or doing somewhere else, and that person is also being interrupted because maybe they are also with their spouse, and that is not helping us. That is a clear sign of complacency when we cannot be present with our spouse. I believe in having time for everything, have time to connect with your friends and chat with them. But the question I often ask myself is, if I don't take this call, is it dire? What's going to happen, And of course there are times you have to take that call, when it's a call relating to your job or your business or your child's school or your doctor or any of those. It's important, but it all comes down to the approach, how you do it. Oftentimes I recommend that if you're with your spouse and a call comes and you have to take it, ask for permission. say, please, can I pick this call? It looks like it's an important call. It shows respect, it shows love, it tells your spouse that you are in the moment and you care about what your spouse thinks, and you are aware of the fact that you are with him or her, and you want to ask permission to use a little bit of that time to take that call to ensure that you're not losing a deal, or your information that has to be passed on, it's not done. So the question here is not to say you cannot be on your phone or you can't touch your phone, but it all has to be done in a way that doesn't show complacency with our spouse. We have to do it in such a way that, there was a quote I read some time ago. I don't have it with me, but I want to try to see if I can remember. It went something like, it says, always be present, or make it an effort to be present when you are with your spouse. I think that's how it goes. Make it an effort to be present when you are with your spouse. So it's true that a lot of people are with their spouse, but they're not present. They're somewhere else looking at the status or the next post or the next TikTok video. Sometimes it's almost quite insulting. So we have to make sure, especially we men, we have all these things going on, whether it's work or not, and you come home to your wife and put that phone away for a period of time and focus on her, focus on your relationship, invest time into it, and make sure that it's also important. It's part of the things that make your world move. So if you have to take that call, or you have to check the status, you also have to spend time with your spouse. It's one of the important things. So give time to that as well. I'm waiting to see when a guy will be on the phone and his wife shows up and he tells the other person on the phone, you know what, I have to call you, there's something important here I have to do. That's the reverse of what we have to be doing, or you try and round it up very quickly and say, can we continue this, because you don't have to tell the person what you're going to do, but you take those steps to make sure that you are doing the right things, not to let technology get in the way of your relationship. Because technology is a wonderful thing. Phones are great. I can imagine our lives today without it, even though I wonder how we did it with our phones years ago. But the truth of the matter is it's not going anywhere. But we have to make sure that it's not causing problems in our relationships. It's not bringing complacency. We become so used to our spouse, we don't even care. We pick any call, we talk to anybody. Let's show love, let's show respect, and let's show that we are in the moment when it comes to relating with our spouse. My name is Apron Opong. This is Sunlight Radio Online. We are talking about complacency in marriage, and we hope that you're taking a lot out of our show today. As I said earlier, if you want to contribute, the phone number to reach us is 240-772-1420. Thank you again for joining us, and we will be right back. Thanks again for joining us. This is Sunlight Radio Online. My name is Apron Opong, and we are talking today about complacency in marriage. Have you become complacent in your marriage? Are the important things still important to you? Are you making time to focus on what is important to you, your marriage, your family, and all the things that mean so much to you? Have we gotten to that point of wearing a bib, as I said earlier, that when you wear a bib, it means that you have settled, you are not being proactive, and you expect your spouse to take up the role of making things easy for you. But if you put on an apron, it means that you're ready to work, you're ready to put in the effort. And as as I go through this, I'm hoping that we are throwing away the bibs, especially if you are an adult wearing a bib, then there's something really wrong, that has to be addressed. So we have to trade in our bibs for aprons and roll up our sleeves and make sure that we are doing all the things we need to do to get our relationships going. So as we go through the list here, the next thing is playing games together. I don't know, those of you from Ghana, I remember when our parents would sit and play Ludo, in snakes and ladders, those old games, and one will call them romantic things. Yes, we're supposed to do romantic things, but our parents did it, and it was a great time for them to laugh and play and laugh at each other and enjoy some quality time together. Playing games is important, Monopoly, there are so many other games out there. Go to the store and look for games, puzzles and all of that. It helps bond couples together. So if you and your partner have become a bit quiet around each other, that's a great thing to do. It's time you get out, some games and get that going, because that is really going to help you laugh and be funny and joke and bring back those feelings you had when you met. Because if complacency is setting in, it means that one or the two of you're doing something you're not supposed to be doing. That's what's bringing you to that point in your relationship. So the question I want you to think about as we round up tonight is, where are you in the midst of all of this? What are you wearing, a bib or an apron? That will help determine, your posture and how ready you are to work or not to work in your relationship. Romans 12:18 says that if it is possible, as far as it depends on you, live at peace with everyone. As long as it depends on you, as long as you have the power to, and the will and the self-control to decide, make sure that you live at peace with your spouse. Make sure you're doing the things that will prevent complacency in your relationship. As long as it depends on you, the final decision depends on you. And when it comes to our relationship, it depends on us. It falls on us to make that decision, that I'm going to pick those things that will help me connect and prevent complacency. I'm going to show gratitude. I'm going to spend time with my spouse. I'm going to communicate. I'm going to be adventurous. Those things will help bring us there. So what you invest in your marriage is what you get out. And I think that's the theme of everything we talk about here, that the actions you take determines the results you get. So as we round up our session tonight, I want to talk about some of the things that you can do that will help. And again, we've talked about some of the big topics. I'm going to talk about some of the context, some of the day-to-day things that can help prevent this issue of complacency. Cook for your spouse, and I'm talking to the men here. I know the women do that quite a bit. And if you live in a home where the man cooks all the time, maybe the lady can also pick that up. This will help. Take your wife or your husband's car out and have it cleaned out. Your wife might be busy all week and her car might be dirty with going to work, and I'm not saying she makes it dirty, but life makes it dirty because of all the things that we have to do. Just take that step and go and have the car cleaned out. Another thing we can do is also romance. We talked about romance, the things that we can do romantically to get our relationships exciting and fun. When your spouse is not well, wait on him or her. To spend time to show that you care. Do things that bring up great emotional and deep loving feelings. Plan a surprise trip. As those of us in North America, as the seasons changing, this is a time to think of things you can do. I know this past week the pandemic is slowing down in North America, and a lot of us are getting our vaccines, and It's the regulations have been loosened a little bit, and it still means we have to be careful. But it's time for you to think of other things you can do. Plan a trip, plan a vacation, making sure that you're being safe. Compliment your spouse, in front of his or her friends. That is so good when you do that. When you meet with your friends, say something nice about your spouse. Not something bad, not something negative. I think this is one big one that can really break down any form of complacency. It tells your spouse that you're paying attention, you're watching. It tells your spouse that you're grateful. And also it shows that you're really showing gratitude for the things that your spouse is doing for you. Leave nice notes for your spouse, especially the men. Write a nice note and leave it somewhere for your wife, and I'm sure she will enjoy that. If your wife or your husband work long hours, let them sleep in, on a Saturday morning and get some rest and feel refreshed and recouped. Don't always expect them to get up in the morning and your wife to always get up and cook breakfast for you. Maybe it's another opportunity to say, you know what, just sleep in, get some rest, and I'll take care of things. It's always important. Sometimes complacency comes because your wife cooks all the time, so even if you can do it, you still wait for them to come and do it. We have to sometimes break the cycle. Even if your wife is still willing to do it, or your husband is still willing to do it, you still sometimes have to give them a break, because we all deserve it at one point or the other. Be quick to forgive. These are some of the general things that really help us to really do away with this hold on complacency. As we do these things, it communicates love to our spouse, and it helps us to really get over the boredomness and the lack of energy. All these things will really start charging us up and really put us in a mood and the feeling of really connecting with each other. Send thoughtful text. We've talked about the cell phone. This is when you have to pick up your phone. When you've been at work all day, you haven't seen your spouse, pick up the cell phone and send a nice text to your spouse. Something loving, a quote, music, a funny video. This really helps, and this is one area, yes, you got to pick up the phone and let it really help your relationship. I have often said that you can put reminders on your phone, to remind you to do special things for your spouse as well. That's another thing that really, really helps, Ask your spouse what you can do to help their day better, their day go better or easier, or reduce the burden they have on themselves. That is also a way that you show love and show that you care. Go out and play golf or miniature golf. I'm not a golfer, but I've played miniature golf, and I've gone to play some, just swing some golf balls, play some golf balls before, and it was a lot of fun. No rules here. Don't hold me to any rules in golf. I can answer them, but anyway, that helps a great deal. Schedule some time to play for a date night. That's another thing too. We've talked about date nights. All these things can be done under date nights. Another thing women can do that, men really appreciate is when he's mowing the lawn, or he's working in the garage, or he's painting the walls, or cleaning his car. Go help him. Go sit by him. That's what we call shoulder to shoulder. Men like that shoulder to shoulder when they're hanging out with their friends, and when they get to find that friendship in their wife. It's always special. So learn to do things in the same way. If your wife has picked up a hobby of maybe gardening or doing something around the house, spend time with her while she's doing it. It will mean a lot to her as well. So the other thing we can also think about is tell him how much you love being wrapped in his arms. So this is about when your spouse does something romantic, If your spouse does something romantic, let them know that, oh, I really love the way you kiss the back of my hands, or you kiss my neck, or you held my hand. Let them know. This helps prevent complacency. If one person is beginning to do things that gets you out of complacency, let them know you appreciate it, and let them know it's special, and so that they can keep doing those things. Another thing, also ask for your spouse's advice or their point of view. Let them know their opinions matter. So if you're making a big decision, ask your spouse, what do you think about this? Or even when you're going out and you're picking your shirt and tie, ask your spouse, how does this look? It really helps to break the chain of complacency as well. So, surprise, the element of surprise is one of my favorite things. Surprise your spouse with an item that has been sitting in their Amazon cart. I really like that. Yeah, we all have things that been sitting in our Amazon cart for a long time because we're waiting for the right time to get it. Surprise them with it. I think it's always special. I like the element of surprise because it always makes us feel that our spouses are thinking about us. It makes us feel special, and we always have to do things that show how much that we are thinking about our spouse. I had you in mind today. I was thinking about you today. I made time to really think of something to do for you today. So let us always take these steps. They're very little steps, but these steps will help us put us on the track to ensuring that complacency has no way in our relationships. And it will also ensure that if we're wearing bibs, we're going to take off the bib and we're going to put on aprons and we're going to roll our hands and get to work. If we put in the effort and the work, we're definitely going to see the results in our relationship. Thank you so much for joining us today. It was a lot of fun going through these resources. I hope that you put them to work in the coming week to ensure that you will enjoy life with your spouse. Have a great evening, and God bless you all.
Thank you.